Welcome to Three Questions with Motion Point. I'm your host, Dominic and today I have the absolute pleasure of being with Diego Cresceri. Diego is the CEO and founder of Creative Words, and he has over a decade of experience at the intersection of language and technology. He's a driving force in breaking down linguistic and cultural barriers for businesses worldwide. And as the CEO and founder, he's dedicated his career to helping companies expand globally by leveraging innovative AI, machine translation, and cutting-edge localization solutions. Diego, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
Thank you, Dominic. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure, honestly.
No, well, listen, we're both excited to be here. So let's get started. I mean, what really is a pivotal moment in your career that's shaped where you are and how much expertise you've gathered in the translation and localization industry?
So you said I have over a decade of experience. It's almost 20 years, honestly. It will be 20 years in April. And I started, let me just start by saying that I am a translator by education first. And I love to say I'm not an expert, but a experience. 20 years is a lot, man. So it's difficult when you have 20 years working in a single industry to identify pivotal moments. I would say it's probably a progression. I've been lucky enough to start as an intern in a translation company, and I spent 12 years there. Different roles. I started as a translator intern and then moved to project management, then operations. Then I even became a partner there. So I saw it all from the LSP point of view, of course. After that, what I call my second life in the industry, I started really look outside, and so I've been involved in Translation Association, in Industry Association, I've been in ELIA, the European Language Industry Association. A lot of different experiences that brought me to where I am right now. So it's more a progression of different things that brought me here rather than, a very pivotal moment. And this relates to, every technology disruptions that we experience in our industry. Really everything. If I have to think of a good decision I took, for instance, getting into the ELIA board was a good one. Getting to my first ELIA event in 2017 was a good decision, but I cannot really identify, a single moment, a wow moment, or that I really recognize. It's really a matter of consistency and resilience and ongoing, probably, effort also. If you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you've just accumulated a lot of building blocks. You've looked at different areas of the localization workflow experience from starting as an intern and studying translation to then managing those processes and understanding how the business has evolved. I think that's a great segue to one of the questions that we have here prepared, which is what are some challenges or successes that you've seen in adapting the traditional translation workflows to more modern technology driven systems, especially the past few years with everything that's happening with AI?
Again, and I'm focusing on my second life in the industry. When I started Creative Words, it was 2016, and that's when newer machine translation was kind of launched in the industry. And so this is where I found myself in, and I had to adapt from the start, let's say. And since then, we've seen many different changes, many different evolutions and progresses. And again, it's been an ongoing effort, technology-wise, to adapt to get to be doing new things and everything. The biggest challenge, though, is the common ground to all of these changes that I've experienced, and is managing change. And managing change with my customers. You have those customers believing that technology is the solution to everything, and you have those customers that don't want to hear about that. Managing change with my staff as well, because we have a staff of 25 at the moment, even more than that, and you need to be instilling the culture of a change every day and every moment in the office. So that's also a challenge, and managing change with your providers as well, with your vendors, because you need to get in touch with them and ask them to deliver something else that they're not used to. And this started from the very beginning with newer machine translation back in 2017. Now, when Gen AI came into the game, it's even faster and it's even more challenging to keep the pace of change and to instill this culture of change. And I keep talking about how fast we need to change. And resistance to change is really a thing.
Absolutely.
On the whole supply chain, from the customer to the vendor and to the operational side and to the adoption of technology, it's really more a soft skill thing rather than a adopting the latest technology, because if you have that base of culture, then you can do whatever you want, I guess. But I have to say I've been successful as well, because I cannot complain about how my team has reacted to it. Sometimes more effort on my side, sometimes it was easier, but all in all, I cannot say I'm not happy about how to embrace change. And then you face new technologies and new things and new ideas every day, which is good and exciting on my side as well, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think our industry specifically is one that's very susceptible to change. I think all of them are, right? But in translation, it can be, one new piece of technology is released that completely paradigm shifts to everybody in our industry. And I think you're right. It's about managing change, and it's not only at a technical level, it's managing customer client expectations, managing the new workflows that you have to adopt to be more efficient when there's a new technology that's helping you fulfill the work that we have to do, right? As someone in the localization industry, then you have to have a lot of soft skills to manage your internal team, like you're saying, and customers, and then the supply chain of how you fulfill. So absolutely. And I think people in our industry, more than others, get to experience that almost every year. So you were talking about 2016, like neural machine translation. That sounds like so antiquated now, right? It sounds like so far away. But I remember when we were trying to, wrap our heads around how we're going to, address this in the market, address this with our customers. But it really seems like every single time there's a new technology that helps make translation easier, we also get customers and user expectations to be that translation quality is continuously getting better and more affordable, right? And we know that there's a lot of things in the background that kind of have to, fit the mold for that narrative to be true. And sometimes it's not as simple as it might seem to someone that's not in the industry. So it's very interesting what you're saying. I totally agree. But I've seen that, Diego, you specifically have really, honed into, the Italian market and helping people enter the Italian market. So I think the next question here is, do you know, or would you like to share any cultural, linguistic barriers of entry that resonate with Italian culture and citizens? Basically, when you're trying to enter Italy, what are some things that companies from a cultural and linguistic point of view have to focus on?
So in Italy, we have a very strong cultural specificity. We move our hands like this. We are very keen on food, for instance. And so that's something that we really need to be taken into account. A US company, let's say, wants to market their products in Italy. That's something they really need to be taken into account. We have a very, very strong cultural specificity, and we want it to be addressed and to be respected to start with. Also, I need to add, if you talk about linguistic skills and linguistic barriers, we are probably not the best people in terms of, understanding a foreign language, which is a pity because I studied languages all my life. So that's a very strong barrier. If you do want to come to Italy, and I guess that's valid for other countries as well, you need to localize your products. You need to make us really understand and trust. I guess I have no data to support this, but in Italy, a very big part of the population would not buy if they really cannot understand, the terms and conditions. And if the customer journey, the buying journey is not localized perfectly, we will not trust the product. And that could really be a barrier, unless you want to, compete on price. I mean, everybody goes on big e-commerce, let's not mention them, but everybody would go there if they can save a lot of money.
I've had a very similar
But if you want to compete on quality, then you need to really be very focused on the quality of the language and on providing a customer journey that would give us trust. Probably we're not the only ones that are not very specific over Italian. It's valid for other countries as well, but we're very, very keen on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a similar situation in my career where we really tried to sell into the Italian market, and it's ironic. It's a little ironic because you work in the translation industry, but when you have a salesperson talking to someone that's from Italy, that speaks Italian, that's managing their entire business line and employees in Italian, and you want to talk to that person in English, ironically, even though if you're trying to translate or do localization for them, you're not going to really close that deal because they want to make sure that the buyer's journey, and that's inclusive of people that you're talking to, right, or your customer support team, they want you to speak Italian. So from a fulfillment perspective, even from a go-to-market and sales and marketing perspective, you can sell translation, you can sell localization, but if you yourself aren't really representing that you are fluent in that language as a person talking to the prospect or future client, right? It's really hard to make that connection, and it really speaks to the cultural and traditional undertones of business in different markets. If you go to the UK and you speak English with them, if you're an American company, for example, or maybe in Mexico you speak to them in English, even though there's a little bit of a cultural barrier or a linguistic barrier for Mexico, it's still feasible to close the deal, to get a relationship. But in countries like Italy, we really had that experience. I've had that experience, and also in France, I've had that experience where you have to really show that beyond just the translation and localization, that as the person that's fulfilling this, you can relate and you can have a connection with them, and that's absolutely something true. I've experienced that. It's ironic sometimes, but very interesting.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. Well, those are our 3 questions, but I have to ask, where can I get myself a pair of those glasses, man? Those are some pretty cool glasses over there.
That's Italian fashion, It's very local. They are made in Genoa, where my office is, so it's very specific.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta find it.
We're strong on fashion, we're strong on style. Not say I am strong on style, but we are strong on style.
Yeah. Well, I love it, Diego. I really want to thank you again for coming on. That does it for 3 questions with Motion Point. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time.
Thank you very much. Bye everybody.